And we only have 5 days a week classes. So one day, of course, not all the chapters have a lot of uh, detail in them. There's one chapter, actually, chapter 17. There's not much, there's no hardly a purport in the chapter. So chapter 17, we'll go through it very quickly. But the other chapters are quite relishable, interesting. So today we're going to begin chapter 13, the dynasty of Maharaj Nimi. And we can note the connection. Previously, you were studying the last section, you were doing pastimes of Lord Ramachandra, and you were hearing about the descendants of Lord Ramachandra and Love and Kush, and then their descendants. So Lord Ramachandra, of course, he's coming from the line of the sun god, which means Maharaj Ikshvaku. Right, in Bhagavad Gita, Lord Krishna describes how he gave the knowledge to the sun god. Imam vivishvate yogam proktapam aham avyayam vivishvan manave prahur manur ikshvakave bravit. Lord Krishna was telling Arjuna the history of the Bhagavad Gita, that how he instructed this knowledge to the sun god. And the sun god gave the knowledge to Manu, and Manu gave it to Ikshvaku. So this chapter 13 begins with the story about Maharaj Nimi, who is coming in the line of the sun god. And it said he's connected to Maharaj, he's connected to Ikshvaku. It said he's actually the son of Ikshvaku. Says like that in the summary section at the beginning of the chapter. So Maharaj Nimi said to be the son of Ikshvaku. All right, so we're going to begin looking at this story. It's a nice little pastime, interesting pastime, which comes up for the first 12 verses of this 13th chapter. All right, so we'll look at it together. Let's see what happens. I assume that most of you have had an opportunity to look through it, or you're familiar with what is being presented there. Oh yeah, it does mention actually the son of Ikshvaku here. It does say Nimi. Ikshvaku Tanaya. So Maharaj Nimi, we'll hear about him also in the 11th canto, because Maharaj Nimi will be meeting the 9 Yogendras, and they have a lot of questions to put to him. So Maharaj Nimi is beginning sacrifices, and he requested Vashishta to do the yajna for him, to take the post of being the chief priest. But Vashishta said, no, I have already accepted another. I've got some other work to do. I'm already busy. I'm already engaged in doing a yajna for King Indra. I'm doing what you want me to do, but Indra wants me to do it. And I promised Indra I would do it for him. So there's a relationship here between Nimi Raj, and Vashishta. Vashishta is actually his guru. Nimi is supposed to be a disciple. So you would expect, when the guru tells you, something, you would expect some kind of obedience to the words of the guru. Anyway, Vashishta tells Nimi Raj, I will return here after finishing Indra's yajna. So you please wait for me until then. So when Nimi Raj heard this, he didn't respond to, he didn't say anything. And then Vashishta went off to do the yajna for King Indra. However, Nimi Raj is a special soul, and when he heard these words from Vashishta, he reflected on it. It's described here. This text number 3, is it? I think text number 3, that Nimi Raj is a self-realized soul. And so he considered the situation, and he considered that life is flickering. Therefore, instead of waiting for Vashishta, he began to do the yajna with some other priests. He got some other priests to come along and do the yajna. So there's a nice purport here by Srila Prabhupada. And he quotes Chanakya Pandit. Chanakya Pandit, of course, he's not a devotee really, but he's Artha Shastra. And in his famous book, which Prabhupada would quote, because Prabhupada has studied as a student, when he was studying Sanskrit, he studied Artha Shastra, Chanakya Pandit's book. So Chanakya Pandit had said, the duration of one's life in the material world may end at any moment. But if within this life one does something worthy, that qualification is depicted in history eternally. So that's a very noble thinking like that. Certainly we understand the duration of our life is precarious. It can end at any moment. We don't know when, but certainly our time is limited. If you were in my position, then of course your time is really limited. I'm well over 70 years old, and I'm a sannyasi. Prabhupada said, Prabhupada quoted a biblical expression. It says, 80 years and 10. 80 years and 10. 1 means 20 years. So 80 means 60, and then 10 more makes 70. So Prabhupada would say 80 years and 10, and it is already past. So the 70 years is like the average duration of life which you can expect in the human form of life. And once you get to 70, your days are numbered. Your life can end at any moment. And certainly taking sannyas is also, Prabhupada described it as a walking dead man. Because sannyas has no more connection with material responsibilities. So, walking dead man. So here, Chanakya said, duration of our life in the material world can end at any moment. But if you can do something worthy, then that qualification is depicted in history eternally. Now, that's a difficult thing to do. to do something worthy. That is the challenge. What is worthy, and who can do something worthy? Not everyone, not all of us. And we have to also consider what is worthy. That would be another relative issue. What one person considers worthy may not be considered worthy by others. Anyway, Chanakya said that if you can do something worthy, that qualification, that puts your mark in history eternally. So, any comments about this? Doing something worthy? Certainly, we see in the history of India, different people, politicians sometimes, and sometimes spiritual leaders, they made their mark. They've got somehow they got a place in history. Can you think of some people who've done something worthy, made a place in history eternally? Would you like to give me some examples? I gave Srila Prabhupada. Can you think of somebody else?
Sri Ramachandra Prabhu.
Sorry?
Sri Ramachandra Prabhu.
Ramachandra?
Yes, Maharaj.
Ramachandra. No, Ramachandra Bhagwan.
Maharaj.
Well, of course, Lord Rama, he's the Supreme Lord. So I was thinking more in terms of modern times. I was thinking in terms of the modern times, the present civilization. What kind of people do you think have done something worthy to make have? Can you think of anybody who's done something to put their mark in?
Thomas Alva Edison.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
Thomas Alva Edison. He invented electricity. Like
Edison. Oh, okay. Yeah, somebody done maybe like that. They invent something, as you say, electricity. Someone who invented electricity. Certainly, we get a lot of. I mean, we use it a lot. We're using it just now. Electricity. It's something which we depend on. And when the electricity goes off, then it's a big problem. So that's certainly something, some kind of contribution. You invent something like electricity. So someone, you could say somebody else, maybe they flew the first airplane, or the people who invented motor cars, these kind of things. Some inventor, some politicians are also there. I noticed, like when you come into the Calcutta airport, they have a mural there, and they have pictures of different figures who were prominent in the history of Bengal and in the recent times. You know, who do you think they have? Who is there? Have you seen that mural? And have you come in the Calcutta airport? Did you notice that mural? Different people are there. There was, for example, Subhash Chandra Bose, the leader of the Indian Independent Army.
Rabindranath Tagore Maharaj.
Rabindranath Tagore also, yes, he's certainly very well known and respected in India and in Bengal. What did he do? What was his contribution?
is one who wrote the national anthem of India.
National poet.
Okay. Yes.
Not responsible for writing national anthems of the many countries in the subcontinent. Bangladesh, Sri Lanka.
And he was honored by Oxford University. And they honored him. They gave him an honorary degree. Srila Prabhupada said he didn't go to university, but they called him to come. We want to honor you and give you the degree. So he was so much honored and respected. And then he had people like Mother Teresa also. She's also famous. Her work and her sacrifice and dedication to serving the poor and helping the needy. So she was also there, one of the figures depicted there. And they had some other spiritual, so-called spiritual leaders who are well known in Bengal. So these different people, anyway, they did something with their life. They got some recognition. So in the purport, Prabhupada writes, here's a great personality, Maharaj Nimi, who knew this fact. In the human form of life, one should perform activities in such a way that at the end he goes back home, back to Godhead. This is self-realization. So that is the thinking of a great soul. Not too many people think like that. And certainly nowadays it's rare that people would think like that. And even in the times of Maharaj Nimi, not everyone thought like that. But certainly Maharaj Nimi, he has that kind of thinking. He's thinking like that. Anyway, we're told Maharaj Nimi completes the sacrifice. Oh, not Maharaj Nimi's there, and he's got some other Brahmins to do his yagya. And so after Vashishta had finished his yagya for Indra, then he returned, and he came back, and he found his disciple Maharaj Nimi had disobeyed his instructions. He'd got some other. Maharaj Nimi had been told, wait, I'll do it when I come back. Let me go and finish the yagya for Indra. But Maharaj Nimi couldn't wait. He got some other people to do it. He thought, I can't risk. I don't want to take the risk. I want to get it done. So Vashishta comes back and he sees the yagya is already done. So he curses him, saying, may the material body of Nimi, who considers himself learned, immediately fall. Well, that's a heavy curse to put on someone, isn't it? You curse him to fall. In other words, to die. And so we have seen, of course, in our scriptures, several examples of this kind of thing, cursing. And of course, the classic example is how Shringi, the young Brahmana, the son of Sonaka Rishi, the son of Samika Rishi, the son of Samika, Shringi, he cursed Maharaj Parikshit and cursed him to die within 7 days. So we see this kind of cursing going on, cursing people, not a very pleasant business. And it's surprising that Vashishta would take this action. It seems very extreme, very radical, that he's so upset that the disciple had disobeyed his instruction. So he curses him that may he immediately fall. So when we read this, certainly it's shocking to think that, oh my goodness, you have to be very careful in dealing with a spiritual master. You can get cursed like this. It's very dangerous, isn't it? What do you think when you come across this kind of incident being described here?
Very scary.
Yes. And Vashishta, we expect him to be a greatly saintly person. He's an advanced senior person, and we expect him to be more controlled, and we would expect more compassion and mercy from him. But instead, here at this particular time, in this case, it's a curse. He thinks himself, this Nimi thinks himself learned, so he should immediately fall. So, had Nimi actually disobeyed the instructions? Well, certainly. Vashishta had told him, wait, I'm coming, let me come, and just wait, I'll come and do it. But Nimi had not waited. He had his own thinking, that time and tide wait for no man, as they say. They're saying like that. So Nimi didn't want to wait, didn't want to take the risk. And this is the reaction that the Vashishta's come and he's cursing him. So then how does Nimi respond? So text 5 continues, for unnecessarily cursing him when he had committed no offense, Maharaj Nimi counter-cursed his spiritual master. For the sake of getting contributions from the King of Heaven, you have lost your religious intelligence. Therefore, I pronounce this curse. Your body also will fall. So, cursing and counter-cursing. We have come across this kind of thing, counter-cursing and counter-cursing. Can you think of some examples of this from the Shastra?
Hare Krishna Maharaj. During Daksha Yajna also, there is a lot of counter cursing going on. Lord Shiva's disciples cursing Daksha's followers, and Daksha's followers cursing Lord Shiva's disciples, like that.
Yes. Do you remember the curses? Someone remember the curses?
Something regarding to the Brahmanas, the nature of the Brahmanas, and from other part, the nature of the Shiva's followers. So both things were like, their values were deprecated in that sense. Like they said, like from now on, the Brahmanas will be like this. And then they said that from now onwards, Lord Shiva's, followers will be like that. And we see those traits even today can be traced back to that.
Yes.
Daksha.
What, like this and like that? Can you give specific what was the curse? Do you remember? Someone?
Nandi cursed, Hare Krishna Maharaj, this is Murti
Yeah.
Sri. And Nandi cursed that Lord Shiva's devotees will be atheists.
Yes, right. Lord Shiva's followers will be atheists. And then the Brahmanas?
Brahmanas, they will be some earning something like that. I don't remember exactly.
They will perform sacrifice only for
Money,
remuneration and
Yeah.
all.
Greedy.
Greedy.
They'll do rituals. Yes, they'll simply be absorbed in doing some ritualistic ceremonies, right? For material purposes, not for any real benefit, not for any real spiritual benefit, but just for some material purposes. And the followers of Lord Shiva would be atheists. So, as one of the Prabhus said, both of these curses are in vain today. They're both there today. We see the Brahmanas performing dull rituals, and the followers of Lord Shiva, a lot of them are simply atheists. So that's the classic example of cursing and counter-cursing. It's there in the Srimad Bhagavatam. We heard about that. We don't always find counter-cursing. We do see sometimes that devotees are very tolerant when they're cursed. They simply accept it, right? We have some nice examples of that. Yeah, well, what are they?
Chitraketu, when he got cursed to become Vitrasura, he accepted and he did not counter curse. He just accepted the curse.
Who?
Maharaj Chitraketu, King Chitraketu,
Yes, Chitraketu. Who cursed him?
Mother Parvati.
Yes. And Srimad Bhagavatam describes Chitraketu. How did he react?
Accepted it and he paid obeisances to Mother Parvati.
Yes, he fell at her feet. And did he protest? Or did he plead for mercy?
No.
What did he say?
Correction.
He said, "Thank you, Mother." Thank you, Mother. Mother Parvati was shocked. But Lord Shiva was not surprised, because Lord Shiva understood the nature of the devotee. So I think at that time, Lord Shiva said, Narayana Parasavena. Yeah, he said, devotees who have taken shelter of Lord Narayan, for them there's no difference between heaven and hell and liberation. So Chitraketu accepted the curse. And then Maharaj Parikshit, of course, when he was cursed, how did he respond when he got news that he had been cursed?
He accepted it also. And he immediately took sannyas, accepted Sukadeva Goswami as his guru, went to the banks of Yamuna and then heard Bhagavatam.
Yeah, when he heard that he'd been cursed, he said, good and well. He thought, his thinking was that I deserve it. I've done something wrong. I'm guilty. I deserve it. He took it as being a suitable punishment. And he accepted it, took it as an opportunity to prepare to leave this world. He immediately prepared himself and went to hear Srimad Bhagavatam. All right? So it's surprising here to read about these two saintly persons cursing and counter-cursing. Now it says here, he had committed no offense. Was it actually unnecessary cursing? Was Maharaj Nimi actually not guilty? Had he actually done nothing wrong? Or was he actually offensive?
He was not offensive, Maharaj.
He was not offensive.
Yeah. Because he was abiding by the scripture, as like you read in the previous verse. quoted the scripture, and then therefore you have lost your religious intelligence. Therefore, I pronounce this curse.
Yeah, and you have lost your. Well, yeah, this is Nimi talking to Vashista, that you've lost your religious intelligence, because he was so eager to go to heaven and get the contributions from King Indra. He thought, I won't get so much doing the yajna on earth, I'll get much bigger rewards in heaven. So I go to heaven and do the yajna up there. King Indra will pay me much more, he'll give much more. So, and that's what's being explained to us here anyway. Maharaj Nimi certainly thought like that. And therefore he also put the curse, he counter-cursed, he put a curse on the person who was actually his spiritual master. So it's unusual dealing between the guru and the disciple. Fighting and cursing the guru. How can we understand these things? Have we seen other examples where the disciple has to fight against the guru?
Bali Maharaj.
Yeah.
Yes, Bali Maharaj disobeyed his guru. Who was his guru?
Shukracharya.
Right. And so did he get in trouble? Did his guru curse him?
Yes, but it was a good curse actually,
Why?
because he was delivered by the Supreme Lord.
But he sent him to hell, right? He sent him to the lower region of the universe.
Yes.
Which is better than the heavenly planets.
Because the Lord was the doorkeeper, always he got the darshan of the Lord.
Yes.
So it was better.
Yeah, the Lord said, I will come with you. I will be your doorkeeper. No one will disturb you. So that was a nice thing. But still, he had to go there into the lower region of the universe. So the lower regions of the universe, subterranean heavenly planets, yes, it's opulent, but at the same time, it's a lower region. It's very dark. There's no light of the sun there. It's below Bhumandala. So there's no sunlight there. So not very pleasant, although opulent.
But for devotees, it does not matter where they are as long as they are Krishna conscious.
Yeah. If you are so advanced.
Like he also always had the association of Prahlad Maharaj, and as Mataji said, Vamana Deva was there always.
Association of Prahlad Maharaj, yes. Yeah, association, very important. Certainly, if you have the right association, doesn't matter where you are, you can be anywhere. But if you have the right association, it can be very blissful. And so, Prabhupada used to say association is 98% of our Krishna consciousness. And it's so important to get that association which will allow us to feel enthused, to nourish us in our Krishna consciousness, to give us that enthusiasm, that faith, that dedication. So here, Nemi doesn't seem to have a lot of faith in his spiritual master anymore. Well, spiritual master cursed him, so he curses his spiritual master back. So this is the situation. Difficult situation, not a very pleasant situation with the guru cursing the disciple. Now, certainly sometimes disciple will be wrong. Sometimes the business of the guru is to find the fault in the disciple and to chastise the disciple. Just like in Bhagavad Gita, we see Lord Krishna also speaking to Arjuna. And he immediately, Prabhupada says, when Arjuna, after Arjuna had surrendered to Lord Krishna begins to speak. Lord Krishna immediately takes the position of a teacher, and he begins to chastise Arjuna. All right? While speaking learned words, O Arjuna, you are mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor the dead. So you could say, well, this kind of consciousness could also come in here. They've cursed each other that they will fall dead. And so, not a very big deal. They'll take birth again some other place. We shouldn't worry about it, right? Don't take it too seriously. But what do you think? Is it proper behavior for the guru, first of all, to punish the disciple by giving a death sentence? What do you...
No,
Huh?
no, Maharaj.
Chastisement is good, but not death sentence. Death sentence is too much.
Yeah.
That's it. There's a difference between chastising and sentencing somebody, punishing.
Yeah.
Because like the idea of the guru, the very purpose of guru is to reform the disciple, not to punish. So that part will be done anyways by like material nature. So the guru doesn't have to come to that business. His business is to rescue the disciple
Okay.
by providing him with an alternative that ensures his purification, his rectification, his advancement. That's what the guru is for.
Yes. Yeah. Guru is meant for rectification. Yeah, meant to stop the sins, right? How did it happen? Somebody like Vashishta could do this. And what about Maharaj Nimi, though? That we were told he was a self-realized soul. So why would he act counter-cursing?
Well, then we'll have to get into the history of Shishta.
Are they both wrong? They're both gone off the proper behavior of devotees? Wasn't it the duty of somebody like Nimi to accept the curse and just fall at the feet of a spiritual master and say, yes, I deserve it, thank you? No?
No, that would set the wrong example, wrong precedence.
Oh, really?
I mean, then that means we are accepting that the guru is independent to do anything and everything he likes. That is exploiting the position. The guru is also a servant of the of Krishna. He is representing someone.
Well, we just heard about Chitraketu falling at the feet of Parvati and saying, thank you, mother.
Yeah, so then we see what happens later on to Sati. So like that's why I'm saying like then we have to go back to the history or then go all the way. The case of Vashishta we see in the very same 9th canto, he has done it again. He cursed Prasiddha, he cursed Vifokshi, he cursed, just like going on cursing. You cannot, like the spiritual master, what kind of spiritual master is he? Going on cursing disciples, one after another.
Okay. So Vishista had a history of cursing people.
Yes.
This wasn't the first time he cursed someone.
Yes. Yeah. So then there he had it.
So sometimes, if you know he's going to be that kind of guru, then must be a bit difficult for him to get disciples, you would think. That he can cut. I know even in ISKCON we have sometimes people think like that, oh, I don't want him for my guru, he's so heavy. Anyway, But I'm arguing Maharaj Nimi, you know, he'd accepted. You say it would have been a wrong example for him to just accept the curse. But is it right for him to counter curse? Are you saying that was the right thing to do? We say two wrongs don't make a right. Right? Two
Yeah.
wrongs don't make.
Parent Maharaj. I mean, he could have, yeah, you can say that, like, he could have at least rejected the spiritual master because he cited that your like your religious intelligence has been lost, so can be rejected. But yeah, counter cursing.
We often hear an eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth, right? But if we follow that principle, then certainly we won't get a good. Everybody will go blind, and none of us will have any teeth.
I have a question, Maharaj. This Vashishta and Vishwamitra, how could they become spiritual master of Lord Rama even?
Yes, Vashishta.
And Vishwamitra, they were all fighting, and this mode of fighting and all. They could be spiritual masters of Rama, Lord Rama even. Vashishta and Vishwamitra, both were.
Well, they were senior people. I don't know if they were exactly his gurus, but certainly he respected them, great saintly persons. And so Lord Rama is teaching by example to respect these holy men who've dedicated their life for the higher purpose. Right?
They were not
renounced-
totally self-realized.
Well, they had renounced the world. Certainly, they were very powerful spiritual persons. I don't know that they were pure devotees, but they were very powerful spiritual personalities. And certainly, Lord Rama wants to show the example to his citizens to honor and respect these people. And Maharaj Dasarath respected, like Vishwamitra came there. Maharaj Dasarath honored him, oh great soul who's engaged in conquering over death. You know, he honored Vishwamitra like that. So there were certainly advanced personalities. I don't know how much they were pure devotees, but they were very.
And conquering death means pure devotee. Conquering death is purity, no? Immortality. It comes after.
Yeah, but
the
impersonalists
self-realization.
also conquer over death. Impersonalists can also enter into this, you know, the spiritual abode. They can also transcend.
But they were fighting now. You become a bird, you become a duck, like that.
Maharaj, may I?
Yeah. What can we say about that?
What I understand is, like, there is this tendency, and I think that's why we are here for the Bhaktivedantas. Like we think like the Bhaktivedantas now, because the progress, it's the journey of a spiritual, of any person, any sadhaka, it doesn't, like, it doesn't stop anywhere. So we may be like quoting a particular part of his life, saying that, okay, he's cursing and counter cursing. So, or this, but like he has moved on since then. He has progressed since then. There was a time when Vishwamitra was doing this yoga practice, and then Menaka came to his life. He has moved on. Like
Yes.
now, as Bhaktivedantas, we need to think: have we moved on, or we are still there? Like, like with that version of Vashishta, or that version of Vishwamitra. So it's just like that's we see even in the case of this Vashishta, we see that there's a progress. There's a progressive realization. So when, like, to my understanding of what Murti Sri Mataji telling, saying about Ram, how can he become Ramchandra's guru? I would say, like, Nimi is a predecessor of Ramchandra, not the he's not the like a later generation to Ramachandra. So like it's the purification going on, like Vikukshi, that means practically like one step down Ikshavaku. So practically, like since the start of this Satya Yuga, he has been around. And like the Satya Yuga gone by, Treta Yuga gone by. So people progress. Generally in Krishna consciousness, people progress. They don't like go backwards. So we have to see at the end of the real thing is what becomes of him at the end. Like did the son of the maid servant called Narad Muni became Narad Muni at one point in time? So or just remained the slave, like servant of the, oh sorry, the son of the maid servant. So every, as we say, like because you are quoting so many adages, I am reminded of one adage: every saint has a past and every sinner has a future.
Yes, right. Every saint has a past, every sinner has a future. And we do also see, for example, in Srila Prabhupada, that he didn't always keep exactly the same thinking. Sometimes he would change, his ideas would change. Like in the beginning, when he first went to the West, he thought he would get the devotees married, and he arranged some marriages. But then he saw them fail, and then he said, I don't want anything more to do with it. You people arrange your own marriages. So he did change his approach to some of the different things. I know, like book distribution, it also changed, but in the beginning, we would just simply, if anybody who wanted a book, they could have it. Even they didn't have any money or anything. But then Srila Prabhupada said, well, we have to pay for the books. We want to print more books. And if they don't give anything for the book, then we won't be able to keep printing the books. So then he said every gentleman can give at least 25 cents for a bite to Godhead or something like that. So certainly over time, and seeing how things were going, seeing the state of affairs, things would change. Different ideas, different approaches. Like when Prabhupada came to India, he saw it was going to be very different from the West. In the West, we could go and distribute books, but in India, people were not so wealthy there. So Srila Prabhupada began the Life Membership Program, which was cultivating more the wealthier section of the society, so that he could begin some temples and then go on and develop the temples. So in the beginning, different approaches were there, and over the course of time, these approaches change. In the beginning, we would ask people to contribute for the books. Nowadays, we do give a lot of books out free. We have a lot of Shastra Dan, just giving the books out. And so things do change over the time. So as you say, Vishishta, he could also change. All right. Anyway, now they're both being cursed. They're both going to die. Prabhupada states, religious principle for a Brahmana, he should not be greedy at all. But here you have the example of Vashishta going to Indra, and he's thinking that I'll get more material benefit. He will reward me more. And so Prabhupada writes, when one is infected by contaminated activities, his power, material or spiritual, reduces. So although Vishishta was the spiritual master of Nimi, because of his greed, he became fallen. So this is a very important aspect of Brahminical culture. One should not be greedy. For when Rukmini wrote a letter to send to Lord Krishna in Dwarka, at that time the Brahmana brought the letter to Krishna in Dwarka, and Lord Krishna was questioning the Brahmana. How are you, my dear Brahmana? Are you executing your religious duties properly? Are you satisfied? That's important. Devotee, one who is practicing Brahminical life, they should be satisfied. They shouldn't be greedy. They shouldn't be anxious for economic development. Oh, I'm not getting enough money. I'm not getting paid enough. Oh, I don't get enough respect. Or like this or that. So many things may be there. We have to be tolerant, and we shouldn't be greedy, especially. People are too much anxious for economic development, then they won't have any spiritual power. We have to understand everything is under the control of Krishna and be tolerant, accept whatever comes by the grace of Krishna. So they're both being cursed. So Maharaj Nimi gave up his spiritual body, and Vashishta also gave up his body. We're told Maharaj Nimi was expert in the science of spiritual knowledge. And Vashishta, he was born again. Because what happened, it's mentioned, the semen discharged by Mitra and Varuna when they saw Urvasi allowed Vashishta to take birth again. So that's related, that Vashishta was able to get another body. You could understand, not very much afraid of death because they have that kind of power. They can take another body again almost at will. But as Maharaj Nimi, it's a different case. Vashishta got a body again, came back. Maharaj Nimi, he's also supposed to come back. They want to bring him back again, but he doesn't want to come back. What happened? Maharaj Nimi gave up his body, and the Brahmanas kept his body. His body was preserved in fragrant substances. And the Brahmanas finished the yajna they were doing, something called Satra Yajna, and they made the request to the demigods. They asked the demigods that please bring back Maharaj Nimi. Bring him back to life. And the demigods said, yes, we'll do it. But Maharaj Nimi said, no, I don't want to come back again. I don't want another material body. So the demigods are more powerful than the Brahmanas. The demigods are very elevated beings, and they have powers, and they can do things like bring dead people back to life. We see, for example, Bali Maharaj had been killed, and he was brought back to life by the power of his guru, Sukracharya. So some gurus, they bring the disciple back to life. Here you have Vashishta cursing the disciple to die, but Sukracharya could bring Bali Maharaj back after he'd been killed. He brought him back to life. So the demigods, they have that kind of power. They're very powerful people. And they wanted to bring Nimi back to life. But he said, no, I don't want to come back again. So Prabhupada gives an example. He said, oh, just like Savitri and Satyavan, well-known story about Savitri, the most chaste lady. She had married this young man, Satyavan, but she was told this man's going to die very young. He's just a young man, but he's not going to live very long. So Savitri said, no, it's okay, I will marry him. And so it happened that Satyavan was, somehow he died, and Yamaraj was going to take him away, but Savitri wouldn't let Yamaraj take him away. And she pleaded with him, and wherever Yamaraj would take, she would go too. And so Yamaraj became pleased with her, and he said, I will give you a blessing, whatever you want. So she said, okay, just bless me that I will be able to have a child. And so he said, okay. And so that meant that her husband had to stay, because without her husband, how could she have a child? So in this way, Satyavan died, but he was brought back to life again by Yamaraj because of the chastity of his wife, Savitri. So anyway, we're hearing about the power of the demigods. They can do these kind of things. And then Maharaj Nimi is talking about why he doesn't want to take birth again. And you can see text number 9, interesting. They talk about the Mayavadis, that they don't want to take birth again. They fear, they want freedom from taking a material body, because they fear having to give it up again. Take a body, you get attached to it. You don't want to give it up. So better not to take a body. So the Mayavadis or the Jnanavadis, their goal is simply to merge into the impersonal Brahman, into the oneness. They don't want to have the body, because they understand the body to be the cause of so many troubles. You get a material body, you have to grow old, you have to get disease, you have to die. And all of these things are a lot of trouble, a lot of pain, a lot of inconvenience. You can avoid all them if you can liberate yourself from the material world. But anyway, Nimiraj says a devotee's intelligence, they're not afraid of any situation. They take advantage of the body to do service. They use the body in the service of the Supreme Lord. So that is the mood of a devotee, that make the best of a bad bargain. Body's a bad bargain, but you can use it in the service of Krishna. So Prabhupada quotes Bhaktivinoda Thakur, some song by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, where he said, let me take birth in the home of a devotee. If I have to take a body again, let it be in the home of one of your devotees. I do not mind if I'm just an insect there, or a dog in the house, or what, but let it be in the home of a devotee. And Lord Chaitanya's Shikshastakam is also quoted, because Lord Chaitanya is also saying he doesn't want liberation. He's just saying, I just want devotional service, birth after birth. Janami Janami Sab Mama Janmani Janmanishware Bhavatad Bhakti Ahaitaki Twaye. I just want devotional service, birth after birth. So the devotee is not even anxious to get out of the material world. He can use the body in the service of Krishna. He can accept anybody, any kind of body, can use it for the service of Krishna. Prabhupada also quotes Rupa Goswami's verse about using body, mind, and words in the service of Krishna, then you're a liberated soul. Any condition of life, you can use the body for the service of Krishna. But if you get a spiritual body, then you get to associate with the Lord. But the devotee can always be liberated. Prabhupada quotes that story which is told by Jiva Goswami in a commentary in the Bhagavatam, where he says, Jiva Vamara Vasado Vyadi Ma Jiva Mamara. He said, for the devotee, for the sadhu, it doesn't matter if he lives or if he dies, because if he lives, he will serve Krishna. And when he dies, he'll go on and serve Krishna some other place. So it doesn't make any difference to the devotee, because wherever he goes, whatever happens, he's going to do service for Krishna, wherever he goes. For somebody like a butcher, the Vyadi, ma jiva mamara, don't live and don't die, because he's living in hell. When he dies, he will go to hell. So a devotee is very conscious that whatever situation, wherever he finds himself, and just engage in service to Krishna. Does the same thing. Prabhupada gives the example about the machine which is used for husking rice, the threshing machine. Wherever you put it, it will do the same thing. The same way devotee is like that. Wherever the devotee goes, he's going to engage in devotional service. Wherever he goes. You go to Africa, you go to India, you go to Russia, you go South America, wherever you are. It's the same business, the same program. You chant Hare Krishna, read the books, read the Bhagavatam, Bhagavad Gita, like that, and chant and dance and preach Krishna consciousness. So there's no difference. There's no need to worry about where you are. You just have to think only how to just keep yourself busy in devotional service. And don't worry about the situation. So Prabhupada, somebody may argue, well, you're still going to die. You're a devotee. You've got a material body. One day you will also die. But Prabhupada gives the example about the mouse in the jaws of the cat and the kitten in the jaws of the cat. So for the devotee, there's no problem. The devotee is not afraid of taking a material body. He just simply wants to engage in devotional service. And we know how to make matter into spirit. That is the qualification of the devotee. We have the material body, we can purify the body by using it in the service of Krishna. So it's the attitude which is important. Everything depends on the attitude. Okay, any questions on this? We need to take a break. But before we break, is there any questions or comments on this? Okay, so we'll be back in 10 minutes. Let's have a break. Hare Krishna. So they were able to bring Vashishta, anyway, by some divine arrangement, Vashishta came back to life. He got another body. He was able to take birth again. But when they wanted to bring Nimi back to life, he didn't want to come. He didn't want to come again to take a body. Now we were just reading, and Prabhupada's purport, their text number is at 9 or 10? Let me see. Yeah, 9, text 9. Prabhupada writes about how material body, you can use it for the service of Krishna. But here's Maharaj Nimi, text number 10. He said, I don't wish to accept a material body because that body is the source of all distress. So I don't want to take another body. So is he wrong? Is he not a devotee? Why he doesn't want to? Prabhupada was just presenting so many arguments that, well, you have a material body, you can use it for Krishna's service. So how can we explain this situation that Maharaj Nimi is saying, I don't want to take a body again. I don't want to come back again. I don't want another birth.
Maharaj, I think that like there are gradations of devotees, and as the choice is given, so somebody may avail this choice, and there's another category who may wish to return back, come back to Godhead. So, I mean, it's difficult to like fault a person for wanting to go back to Krishna.
Okay, yeah. Yes? Anybody else want to comment on this? Yeah?
Hare
Like to
Krishna
hear-
Maharaj.
Yes?
Yeah, so long as we take birth in the material world, we're going to be having some difficulty or the other, some misery or the other. So, and also it is very risky to take birth in the material world, because so long as we are here, we cannot prevent ourselves from making some, some papa karma. So therefore, there is always risk when we come to the material world.
Uh-huh.
Only if one is an exalted devotee, who is a pure devotee, who is always engaged in the service of the Lord, for them it doesn't matter whether they are wherever they are, because they are always engaged in serving the Lord. But for anybody who is not at that stage, then there is always a risk of falling down further when we take birth in the material world.
Yes, the risk of falling down further. Yes, okay, thank you for that. I think one way we could understand it is, well, he's out of the body, he's managed to get rid of the material body, the curse allowed his body to fall, so he's given up the body, and so he thinks, why I should take another body? You get rid of one, got out of one body, why come back again? No reason to continue the struggle in the material existence. And so Nimiraj gives the example about a fish in the water, how the fish is always in anxiety because of fear of death. And so Prabhupada talks about the nature of life in the fish body, that the small fish is food for the big fish. There's no safety anywhere in the material world. It's not like the fish are safe. You know, you may have some fish there in a pond, and the cat will come, the cat will eat the fish. So, Prabhupada quotes a verse from Bhagavatam, Jivo Jivasya Jivanam. One living entity is food for another. It's a law of nature. And so it's dangerous. Padam padam tad vipidam nitesham. Danger everywhere in this material world. So Nimiraj understood that, and he thought, why should come back again, take another body? I've got free of the body and no reason to come back again, take another body. Just like Gajendra, in the story of Gajendra, the liberation of Gajendra, Gajendra was struggling, he was fighting, and then the Lord came and killed the crocodile. And so when the crocodile was killed, then Gajendra was thinking that, well, I called you, I was praying to you, why did you kill the crocodile? Gajendra said, it would have been better if you'd killed me. I'm still in this elephant body, I'm in this dumb elephant body. I would have preferred that you'd killed me, you'd got me out of this body. And so like that, we get in this material world, and certainly there's a lot of problems. So we have to be willing to do some tapasya to get out of the body. That's important, to voluntarily accept some austerities, some difficulties to help us to get out of this material existence. And so Nimiraj is saying, no, I don't want to come back again. And Prabhupada quotes 9.3 of the Bhagavad Gita, those who are not faithful in the path of devotion cannot attain me. For them, they will take birth again and again in the material world. Aprapya mam nivartante mrityu samsaravartmani.
So,
Yeah, they have to come back again and again in the material world, that samsara of mrityu, the birth and death cycle. So that is what goes on in the material world, up and down in all different species of life. This is Mrityu Loka, the planet of death. So nothing very special or wonderful about this planet. All right. So the Maharaj Nimi's made his appeal. Then text 11, the demigods respond. They say, well, let Maharaj Nimi live without a material body. Let him live in a spiritual body as a personal associate of the Supreme Lord. And according to his desire, let him be manifest or unmanifest to common, materially embodied people. So that's really what we would all like. That's the goal of life, really, isn't it? To get a spiritual body as a personal associate of the Supreme Lord. That is wonderful. You think, oh, great! You know, that's just what we're all trying. We would all love to get that position, to have that opportunity. No need to take. I mean, if you have that opportunity, why should you ever think about a material body? Come back into the material world? You have to be mad, right? What is stated there in the third canto Srimad Bhagavatam, says only two people are happy in the material world, right? Two people are happy. One is the fool, and the other is the self-realized soul. They're the only two people who are happy. Everybody else, the ordinary people, they're all miserable, all struggling, all miserable. But the self-realized soul, he can be happy anywhere. And the fool is happy. He's happy in his own ignorant world. He's happy with his own eating, sleeping, mating, defending. And he's thinking, this is life. So the demigods, they're requesting, let Maharaj Nimi have this spiritual body. And so that's wonderful. The goal of life. Prabhupada talks about spiritual bodies that can also mean a ghost body. But here, it's not like that for Maharaj Nimi. Maharaj Nimi, he's got a spiritual body, free from gross and subtle contamination. So he's very fortunate. And it's that just like Krishna, he can be visible to some people and sometimes not visible to others. Not everybody can see Krishna. Prabhupada quotes Bhagavad Gita, Krishna said, I'm never manifest to the foolish and unintelligent. So Krishna is not manifest to everyone. So Maharaj Nimi was given that ability also, that he could be seen or unseen according to his own desire. So, very exalted position. He's given a spiritual body as an associate of the Supreme Lord. And he can be seen or not seen. All right. So the sages churned Maharaj Nimi's material body, from which, as a result, a son was born. Maharaj Nimi's body was churned. We heard about this before. Can you think of another incident? Someone's body was churned to produce a body?
King Verna.
Prithu Maharaj. Prithu Maharaj's
King
body was
Verna.
churned.
No, King Verna's body was churned and Prithu Maharaj
Okay.
was born.
King Venu's body was churned, and who was the other person?
Prithu Maharaj.
the result.
Prithu. Huh? Well, King Venu's body was turned to produce, who was the son of Venu? Of course, Prithu Maharaj, right? Venu, Crow Venu, he was a very nasty atheistic person. He wanted to stop all the yagya. He didn't want people doing any Vedic ritualistic ceremonies. He stopped all the religious activities. He was very cruel, very demoniac. And so they said that the Brahmanas cursed him to die. And then from his body, they produced Maharaj Prithu. From his body, because they knew that within his body there were some good things, because he came in the line of Dhruva Maharaj. He was a descendant in the line from Dhruva Maharaj. So they understood there must be some good potency there in the body. So they brought out the good qualities, and that's Maharaj Prithu. Maharaj Prithu appeared in his body. So like this churning. So they churned Maharaj Nimi's material body, and from churning his body, a son was born. And as we heard, Nimi was a self-realized soul, he was a great sage. So the son produced by him was also a very great personality. Maharaj Nimi, of course, is a Kshatriya. He's a king. And so he had a big responsibility. The sages are churning the body to save the people from the danger of an unregulated government. Unregulated government. You have to have proper governments to take care of everyone's need, so that everyone can be properly looked after and properly guided. So learned Brahmanas should be there, who are expert in the Shastras. And the people in charge of the government, they have to be also, they have to be properly trained. They should have been trained to assume that position of responsibility. The training is important, the upbringing. We see in the life of great kings, like Maharaj Parikshit, how they brought him up so carefully to be a worthy king. And even Maharaj Prataparudra, people like Maharaj Prataparudra, who was the king of Utkal. He was ruling Utkal. It was a big province and a lot of people and a big area. But he was very God-conscious person, and he was trained every day, so many activities. He would have to practice the different military arts, because sometimes he would have to go out and fight. And he would also be trained in Shastra. And we read in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, when Maharaj Prataparudra had come in disguise to massage Lord Chaitanya, at that time he began to recite the Gopi Gita. And he was reciting the Gopi Gita very nicely. Lord Chaitanya was appreciating. And then, of course, he came to the famous verse from the Gopi Gita. And it was the verse goes about, what is it?
Svakatamritam tapta jivanam Maharaj.
Tavakatamritam tapta jivanam kavibiritam kaumasapa Shravana mangalam srimad atatam bhuvi grinanti te buridajana. And when Lord Chaitanya heard this, he became ecstatic and he rose up and said, Burida, Burida, you are very magnanimous. And he was glorifying Maharaj Prataparudra. Although Maharaj Prataparudra was dressed like a common man, but Lord Chaitanya was very pleased to hear the Gopi Gita recited by him. So the point was, although he was a Kshatriya king, and he knew the arts of fighting and dealing with his enemies, he also learned the Shastra, and he'd been hearing the Shastra, and he could recite also. He could recite the beautiful verses from the Shastra. So he was a worthy person to be a king. And just like when Lord Ramachandra was a king, he was taking care of all the people. Any complaints, anybody had any complaint, they could come and complain. Maharaj Ambarish, a great king, he would spend his whole time in the temple and let the ministers run the country. He liked to just simply worship the deity and hear the Bhagavatam and let the ministers all run the country. Let the government officers take care. But at the same time, he was there. And Prahlad Maharaj also, great devotees and great kings. So Prabhupada says in the modern times, sometimes you get a dictatorship. You get somebody becomes the ruler of the country. It's actually like a dictatorship. One person is in charge. So the point is that the leaders, they should be properly trained to be God conscious. That's also important, that they have some good spiritual education, not only to take care of the material needs, but also the spiritual needs. And then the people can be happy. Take care of, to try to satisfy their material needs. People will never be satisfied. No matter how much you give them, they'll never be satisfied. They'll always want more and more. But if we can give people proper spiritual education, then they can actually be peaceful and satisfied. So that's important. All right, so next we hear about the birth of the son coming from the body of Nimi, and the son was given the name Janaka. Because his birth was unusual. Born from the body of the dead father. Certainly unusual. Did we ever hear of the son coming from the body of the dead father? And so this is how Janak Maharaj appears. He was born in an unusual way. The son was called Janaka, and because he was born from the dead body of his father, he was known as Vaideha. Because he was born from the churning of his father's material body, he was known as Mithila. And because he constructed a city as King Mithila, the city was called Mithila. So this is what we're told about Maharaj Janak. Of course, Janak Maharaj, he is one of the Mahajans, one of the 12 Mahajans, one of the authorities on devotional service. Swayambhu Narada Shambhu Kumar Kapilo Manu Pralado Janako Bhishmo Balir Vyasaki Vayam. So Maharaj Janaka was born from the body of Nimiraj, and he is going to become the king. And we're told the different names which he has. And so then there's several verses. We'll hear about the different descendants who come from these different personalities. Many different names of different sons came from this one, came from that one. And then we're told also how Mother Sita appears. Mentioned in text 18, from Rashvaroma came a son named Shiradwaja, also called Janaka. When Shiradwaja was plowing a field, from the front of his plow, Shira, appeared a daughter named Sita Devi, who later became the wife of Lord Ramachandra. Thus he was known as Shiradwaja. So this is describing the appearance of Mother Sita. She was not an ordinary lady. She appeared from the earth. And she became the wife of Lord Ramachandra. And then she departed from the world. She went back to the earth. All right, so then we have some more descendants. Actually, we're told in the previous chapter, it said that Sumitra was the last descendant in the line coming from the sun god. So this chapter is the last chapter dealing with the descendants coming from the sun god. And the next chapter will go on. We'll hear about the line coming from the moon god. So we have those two lines in Kshatriya kings. One line is from the sun god, one line is from the moon god. So tomorrow we'll begin to hear about the line from the moon god. So there are many different names of different kings mentioned. And it goes on up to text number 27. Text 26, here's 26 and 27. Sukadev Goswami said, "My dear King Parikshit, all the kings of the dynasty of Mithila were completely in knowledge of their spiritual identity. Therefore, even though staying at home, they were liberated from the duality of material existence." So all of the kings, and there are many names there, you can see a big line, so many different kings, they were completely in knowledge of their spiritual identity. Even though staying at home, they were liberated. So the point is, you don't have to leave home in order to know your spiritual identity. That's one point from this verse, that you can stay at home. That's all right. But we have to hear about Krishna. We have to have the association of devotees. We have to hear from the scriptures. It's not just stay at home and get attached to the home, never want to leave the home, but staying at home, you have to cultivate your spiritual consciousness. We have to understand, we have to awaken knowledge of our spiritual identity. That's very important for us. We want to get liberated from material existence. It's going to require some effort. It's going to take some, it doesn't just happen automatically. You want to become self-realized, we want to get out of the material world, we have to make some endeavor. So Srila Prabhupada begins his purport quoting this well-known verse from the Chaitanya Charitamrita about the world of duality. We're thinking this is good or this is bad. E bala, e manda, e sabram. You think this is good, this is bad. This is all illusion. It's all wrong. What is it all? It's all manodharma. It is all just a speculation of the mind. We are thinking this world of duality. We're thinking good and not good. That is, it's all just the mind which thinks like that. Just like you give someone a big plate of khichdi, and somebody says, "Oh no, not khichdi again." And somebody else says, "Wow, khichdi, very nice, let me have it." So everybody has their own different visions. They see things in a different way. What's good and what's bad, what they like, what they don't like. This is just the mind. We have to transcend the mind. So manodharma, this world of duality, the material world, this is the world of duality. Actually, there's nothing good, nothing bad. What is happiness? What is distress? It doesn't have any real meaning in life because everything is relative. Everything in the material world, we could say it's all a lot of trouble. Abrahma Bhuvana Loka, from the highest planet to the lowest, misery and trouble, to create an artificial situation, to pretend to be happy. It's just simply an illusion. How long are we happy for? Happiness. What is your happiness? Ambarish Ford, Prabhu. Ambarish Ford, I was hearing one devotee was telling me how he had brought the ashes. His mother had departed from the world, and he brought his mother's ashes, and he was putting them in the Ganga. And he said to the devotee, he said, one thing I learned from my mother, he said, I learned that money doesn't make you happy. He said, we had so much money at home. There was no scarcity. We had everything we wanted. But he said, my mother wasn't happy. And that is very common in the material world. People can be very well off materially and very miserable, unhappy. That is the nature of troublesome material world. It can so much trouble. There's always so many problems. So we want to actually come above the material energy. We want to get out of this material existence. We have to understand the nature of the material world. Prabhupada quotes 2:14 of the Bhagavad Gita, that happiness and distress are all temporary. They're like the winter and the summer seasons. We have to learn to tolerate them without being disturbed, right? Tams tatikshasva bharata. Don't be bewildered by that mind. You have to tolerate all of these disturbances. Some people they get disturbed when it gets cold. Some people get disturbed when it gets hot. We just have to learn to be indifferent to these things, that all of these conditions are temporary. In the summer it's hot, in the winter it's cold. It's all temporary. The winter doesn't last forever. Summer's coming. So the same way, liberated persons, we want happiness. We have to understand real happiness is not the body. Happiness is within. So that is important. Prabhupada quotes again Lord Krishna's teaching to Arjuna. It says, Ashochan anvashochastvam pragnavadamscha basati gatasam agatasamscha nanusochanti panditaha. Lord Krishna is saying to Arjuna, oh, you're speaking such nice words, but you're mourning for what is not worthy of grief. Those who are wise lament neither for the living nor the dead. We have to transcend the misery, the nature of this material world, the bodily concept. We have to understand there's no happiness anywhere in any of these things. So the kings born in the dynasty of Mithila were all liberated souls. They were unaffected by the happiness and distress of the world. Devotees of the Krishna consciousness movement, they should also be liberated souls. We should not be attached to happiness and distress. A devotee in Krishna consciousness, it can be Krishna conscious anywhere. Prabhupada had the one servant, and the servant was very morose. And Prabhupada saw it in his face, and Prabhupada chastised him and said, if you are morose, you cannot be Krishna conscious. So it's important for us, Brahma Buddha Prasan Atma, right? One who knows their Brahman, then they're a joyful soul. Prasanatma, they're joyful, they're taking pleasure in the self. So you can see all of these different kings. Although they were kings, you could say, oh, being a king, that's okay. They could easily be Krishna conscious. They can easily be happy. They have so much wealth. But kings also have a lot of anxiety. They have to worry about enemy kings. They have to worry about different things going on in their palace. Probably they have different wives, and then there will be intrigues with the different wives, and there will be problems of the economy, making sure people are all being properly fed and properly provided for, and people are paying taxes as they should. So many different responsibilities are there even for kings. It's not that the king just simply sits back and enjoys. Although some kings could do it, but they have to have people around them to take care of the kingdom for them. So happiness and distress is there, but it's temporary. But if you're situated in Krishna consciousness, then you're not worried about it. So all of these different kings of Mathila, which is where Janaka is appearing, they were completely in knowledge of their spiritual identity. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has told everyone their spiritual identity. Jiver Swarupahai Nitya Krishna Das, that we're all eternally servants of Krishna. So this is, if we keep ourselves in that mood to be a servant of Krishna, then we can overcome all the miseries of material existence. The dualities of material existence will not disturb us. They're still there, but you'll not be worried about it. You won't be troubled by it. They'll still be there. You can't avoid that. There's still going to be old age and disease and death. There will be some success. There will be failures. We have to tolerate all these things. So, is there a place, Mathila, somewhere? Is that a city, a town somewhere? I know there's a Janakpur in Nepal, right? Is there Mathila anywhere? Anybody know?
Nepal?
Is it in Nepal, Mathila?
Yeah, that's what, yeah. Birthplace of Sita Mata.
A birthplace of Sita Mata. Well, there's a birthplace of Sita Mata. It's in India. It's not in Nepal. What's the name?
It's in Bihar.
In Bihar?
It's in the state of Bihar, yes. That's
But what is
the language they speak traditionally is called Maithili. That's why the local language, the local dialect they speak, it is called Maithili, based on Mithila.
There is one place called Janakpur in Nepal.
Yes, Janakpur is there in Nepal. That's a beautiful place. Very nice big building there, palatial building.
Is it different from Mithila then?
I don't know. I was asking you. I thought maybe you would know more than me. But I know I've heard of Janakpur. I've seen pictures, and it's very beautiful.
Yes, Maharaj, these are different places. These are, of course, different places.
And I was in one town which is just over the border from Nepal in India, which they say is the birthplace of Mother Sita, where Sita had appeared. And we have ISKCON temple there also.
Maharaj, actually, Nepal is very close to Bihar. Maybe, at one time, it must be one single place. So they, because it's the border of India. So the Bihar, where Mother Sita was born, Mithila is there. It's just very close, like 300 kilometers.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, very close. So Maharaj Janaka, I don't know the birthplace if it's in Nepal or in India, but Practically, it's the same thing. You know, Nepal and India is practically one country. But Janakpur is certainly there. And I think today that's claimed to be the birthplace of Janaka. All right, so we're hearing about the descendants of Mithila, all liberated souls, even though staying at home. So stay at home, but be Krishna conscious, right? You can stay at home, not a problem. Prabhupada stayed at home for many years. When it becomes a problem, then you have to leave home. If it becomes a problem, and we hope it won't become a problem, but if it does, then you. But Prabhupada stayed at home. He had his family for many years. Only later on, finally, he understood it was time to get out from the home. Anyway, these kings, they stayed at home. They were kings. They had duties to perform. And they were liberated from material existence because they were in knowledge of their identity. And so we have to constantly hear. It's so important for us. Lord Chaitanya stressed the importance of hearing, how you have to hear regularly. We have to be reminded of these things. When Lord Chaitanya was talking with Ramananda Rai, he wanted to know a verse from the scriptures about the ultimate goal of life, right? And what was the final conclusion? You know that section? Lord Chaitanya is talking to Ramananda Rai, and he asked Ramananda Rai, tell me a verse from the scriptures about the goal of life. Huh? No? Ramananda Rai began by saying, first of all, Varnashram Dharma, and he had a verse.
Yeah, bye.
But Lord Chaitanya said, well, that's external. Go on. And so then he gave another verse about, from Bhagavad Gita, Karmarpanam, offering the results of your work. Yat karoshi yajashnasi yajashjahosi. Offering to everything. But Lord Chaitanya said, well, go further. He said, that's not enough. He said, because people may offer things, they don't always know who they're offering them to and why they're offering. But they may offer, they just want to be pious. So he said, that's not really the ultimate goal. So then Ramananda Rai gave another verse about Swadharma Tyag, giving up all your duties. Sarva Dharmam Parigyashna Mamikam Sharanam. But Lord Chaitanya also said, go further. He said, because people may have their motivations about why they're surrendering. They're giving up their work. Maybe it's just troublesome for them. They just want to give up their work to avoid all the trouble. So that's not good. That's not the pure consciousness. And then he gave another verse from Bhagavad Gita, Brahma Bhuta, I quoted just now earlier, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma, Nashochati Nakanchati, Sama Sarveshu Bhuta. And that's saying that we should perform devotional service. You should be situated, first of all, on the platform of Brahman, and you should not be attached to anything. You shouldn't be attached or rejecting anything. You should see everyone equally, dealing with everyone equally, see everyone in the equal manner. And then in that state, then you can perform devotional service. But Lord Chaitanya said that is more impersonal. He said, go further, go a little higher. And then Ramananda Rai quoted the verse from the Srimad Bhagavatam, which was spoken by Lord Brahma, which says you should remain in your position. Stane stita shruti gatan tanvan manobir ye prayaso jita jitopi asitais trilokyam. Right? This is from the 10th canto Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Brahma is offering prayers to Lord Krishna, and he is saying that if a person will simply hear about the glories of the Lord in the association of devotees, who are faithfully serving Lord Krishna without material motives or material desires, He said they can remain in whatever position they're in. Right? Stani stita shruti gatam tanvan manobhya. Let them stay. If they're family men, let them stay in the family. They can attain perfection if they hear about Krishna in the association of devotees. And by hearing about Krishna in the association of devotees, then they can conquer Krishna, although Krishna is unconquerable. Ye prayaso jita jitopi asitaistriyo. Krishna is ajita, he is unconquerable, but he becomes conquered by the pure love of his devotees. So this is the idea. Stay at home, all right, not an obstacle, but hear about Krishna. And this way you can be liberated from the dualities of material existence. We want to hear about our spiritual identity, how we're all servants of Krishna. We want to understand that and develop that consciousness that we're servants of Lord Krishna. So in this way, Sukadeva Goswami is describing about the kings of Mithila. Maharaj Janaka has been introduced. We heard about Maharaj Nimi, how Maharaj Nimi didn't come back, didn't want to take birth again in the material world. And by the grace of the demigods, he's been blessed to have a spiritual body as an associate of the personality of Godhead. All right, are there any questions on this chapter? Anything? Any comments? Anything you can offer?
Maharaj,
Yes.
Maharaj, I had a question. Can we see, regarding this cursing and counter cursing, can we see that, this all personalities, whoever we had in Bhagavatam, they are teaching us some do's and some don'ts. I don't want to analyze what they are and what they were, and, they're beautiful examples of how we should be as devotees and how should we not be as, not be doing. So they are representing do's and don'ts. And we just, I don't know whether we should analyze it or should we analyze it or not. I don't know. But certainly, they are good examples to teach us. But should we be analyzing all the personalities? Because they are great souls. They are in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. So
yes, it's a very good point. I'm glad you brought this up. I think this is something we do need to reflect on. I don't know, have you ever been cursed yourself? Or have you ever put a curse on anyone?
no, Maharaj, never.
Oh, no,
We are simple people.
Yeah, right. Yeah. But have you ever seen anybody cursed? Did you hear about people cursed?
They get angry and this happens, but they are very silly curses, people get angry, upset. It's just human nature, and out of anger they might not wish good for somebody, but their intentions are not like that. At the end of the day, when they are really calm, they feel that, oh, why did I say all this?
Yeah. Yeah, we feel we made a fool of ourselves, isn't it?
Yeah.
To get emotional and carried away and say nasty things. Sometimes it does happen, people get upset, but actually it's a business of a devotee, really. Devotees are meant to be forgiving. We're meant to be kind and tolerant. Yeah, okay, we may do things wrong. We say something wrong and people get upset and they get really angry. We displease them. All right, okay, we can apologize, or maybe we don't apologize. Maybe we don't agree with them. Maybe we think what we said was right, and they get really angry and they want to curse you. And it's not really the business of devotees. We did certainly. Of course, we hear Narada Muni. He cursed people. He cursed Nala Kuvera and Manigriva, that they should become trees. we could say, well, that was a heavy curse, But they were very offensive, they'd done such a bad thing, to be naked in the holy place and to be intoxicated. And so he felt that they're really degraded. They really need a heavy punishment to bring them to their senses. But certainly, to curse people like that, to put them into trees, we could say, where was the mercy? Of course, Narada Muni, he didn't always curse people. Like when he met Magrari the hunter, he gave him instruction, and he got him to stop killing and to come and worship Tulsi. But when he met Nala Kuvera and Manigriva, he used a different strategy. He didn't. He was really, really heavy on them and put them. But we could say, well, they should have known better, because they were sons of a demigod, sons of Kuvera. So they should have known better. Magrari was a hunter. So by nature, by his birth, by his profession, he was that kind of person, who was killing animals. He learned from his father. But Kuvera's sons, they should have known better, being brought up in the heavenly planets. And so Narada Muni, he gave them a heavy chastisement, heavy punishment, putting them into trees. And something, of course, we read Narada Muni gets cursed, right? Daksha curses Narada Muni. But he takes that also as a blessing, right? Daksha cursed Narada Muni that you'll never be able to stay in any place for more than a short time. So Narada Muni thought, this is a good curse. I won't get entangled. And even Lord Chaitanya got cursed. The Brahmana cursed Lord Chaitanya because this one materialistic non-devotee Brahmana, he wanted to come to the kirtan, and Lord Chaitanya wouldn't allow him to come. And so he got angry at Lord Chaitanya and broke his Brahmin thread, and he cursed him and said, you will never enjoy material life. And so Lord Chaitanya was very happy when he heard that curse. Oh, thank you, I will never enjoy material life. And so the Brahmana thought he was cursing him, but it was a blessing. Just like Daksha thought he was cursing Narada Muni, but it was a blessing. Similarly, Vritasura was cursed. Chitraketu was cursed to become the demon. He became Vritasura. It was a blessing because it allowed him to finish off his material existence so that he could go back to Godhead. But certainly, as devotees, we want to be cautious. It's not. I don't think we want to go around cursing people. Really, yeah. It's not very nice. Rather, we're encouraged. The hallmarks of a devotee: titikshava, karunika. Tolerant and merciful. These kind of things. Of course, we could say, well, that curse is mercy. But, tolerance, it's about, you have to be careful to go around cursing people. It's not a very good thing to do, is it?
But then Maharaj, people in Kali Yuga are not so powerful, right?
Yeah, we're not so powerful. We don't have the power to put curses on people, do we?
I Maharaj, I would like to ask, how many of us will be willing to invite the wrath of this so-called Kali Yuga less powerful people? It's just, doesn't make any sense, because Kali Yuga people are less powerful, then that doesn't give me any advantage. It doesn't give me any advantage. I just wanted to make a comment, Maharaj, there, like when you're talking the whole subject. My understanding is that if the person is repentant, so the devotees treat them differently. If is not repentant, it is differently, and the other way around also, the devotees themselves. In case of Parikshit, when he was cursed, he was repentant in the first place, like the kind of treatment in the fit of rage he did to Shamit Rishi. But in case of, say, for example, Durvasa and Ambarisha, Durvasa was not repentant unless and until like he really got it like right, left, and center from everywhere, including Vishnu. Then it put him in senses. So then, like, he was not apologetic in the beginning. So then, my understanding is like this idea of curse or the idea of retaliation, it is very subjective. I mean, talk about Narad Muni cursing Nalakuvera. I understand like a person who is inebriated, who is intoxicated. Like, what do you expect? What do we expect to reason with that person? We can reason with the hunter. He's in his senses. He can reason with others. He can reason with Valmiki. Person is in his senses at least. Person who is like half naked or naked, and that means he doesn't have lost all like sense of decency, all sense of being a human or a demigod for that matter. So the only thing, the best thing you can do to curse that person at that time. That's what I understand, Maharaj.
Okay, yeah, I think everything you say is very reasonable, Prabhu. Yes. Cursing people, how relevant it is today, you know, well, as we were saying, you know, we're not powerful, we're not spiritually powerful, we don't have the power really to curse. But what we do have the power to do is to bless. And that's really the business of a devotee. And people come to devotees, they want blessings. So if we can give blessings to people rather than thinking about cursing them, that will be much nicer. And that can really help people a lot. That can really be kind to people, to give blessings to them. And how to bless them? Krishna Matirvashtu. May you always be in Krishna consciousness. May you always be thinking of Krishna. So, giving blessings. Yeah, we want to bless people rather than curse people. We're trying to give blessings, trying to make people's lives auspicious. Of course, not everybody wants it. You know, you get these situations. They say, oh, "I don't want to get purified. I don't want to get spiritual. I don't want to." You know, well, then what can we do? We can't. Just have to leave them, and they're well. They're happy in their own well in their material life. Okay. So if there's no more questions, we'll stop here tonight. And we'll be back tomorrow. Okay, thank you, Prabhu.
Thank you, Maharaj. Very good.
Thank you, Maharaj.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Jai.
Hare Krishna.